Hello, everyone. Please have a seat if you have one. For the press, I want to put an end to the rumors that the rest of the staff has not quit because he's leaving. I want you to know that. I knew this day would come, to state the obvious, but it doesn't make it any easier. You know, I've known Ron since he was a kid. Third-year law student in a school near Boston. What was that school's name? Harvard, I think. And he came to work with me in the United States Senate on the Senate Judiciary Committee a week after he got married. And he married a woman even brighter. Stand up a little bit. The only reason he came down, she was a third-year law student at Georgetown, and he decided to do his third year. Still graduated from Harvard at the top of his class, but he decided to do his third year at Georgetown. And that's when he was working full-time as a student and working full-time with me. I knew the moment he started he was a once-in-a-generation talent. That's not hyperbole. He's a fiercely brilliant intellect, and again, those of you who work with him know it to be true. And just as important, he has a heart as big as his head. Thank you, Ron and Monica and Hannah and Mike and Danny. You're like family. And folks who've been with me a long time know it's hard to get away from us, even when you leave. Speaking of family, there's one member of the family who couldn't be here, Ron's mom. Mom, if you can see this or it gets played for you, we love you. We really do. All of us love you, and we're thinking a lot about you. You raised one heck of a son, and you should be so proud. Ron is a credit to you, Mom, and Ron couldn't have chosen, could do anything he wanted to do in life, but he chose to serve his country. He chose to serve his country, and the whole family, the whole Klain family, made sacrifices in order for him to be able to do that, public service. And they're in the front row here, and I mean, you really did. And I want to thank all of you, for letting your dad do what he's done as long as he has with me. For the last 36 years, Ron has been at my side in one capacity or another, and there's been some very tough and real battles we've been in together. And when you're in the trenches of somebody, you figure out pretty quickly what they're made of. You get to know the person pretty damn well. And you see everything about them how they act under significant pressure, and how, in this guy, there's a phrase in the neighborhood I come from, he's willing to jump in front of the bus for you. This is a guy who's always been there. And so I knew, as we faced our most important battle, the battle for the soul of the nation, that I needed Ron. And that's not hyperbole. I needed Ron, and I knew it, and I asked him. I asked him whether he would lead the charge for me. And he did. And he knows how government works, how politics works, and how Congress and the White House works. But most of all, he has enormous integrity. He assembled the most diverse and most talented White House team in history and led them to solve some of the really difficult problems. With Ron's leadership, just look at what we've gotten here over the years. Over the last 2 years alone, fighting COVID, reviving our economy, rebuilding the infrastructure, protecting our planet, fighting against gun violence, advancing civil rights, winning confirmation of nearly 100 federal judges, including the first black Supreme Court justice. And playing a major role in reasserting America's place in the world. Maybe most important of all, helping restore faith in our democracy. The list will be the legacy of the White House team under Ron's leadership. And while we've accomplished an extraordinary amount of work, consequence of Ron's success, he is beloved by those of you here in the White House, as demonstrated by this crowd here. And, as I said earlier, a lot of Klainiacs in this room. They're going to miss him, but not as much as I will. And that's why I knew it was important to fill Ron's shoes with someone who understands what it takes to lead a team, and who is focused on getting important things done. That's Jeff Zients right here. And Jeff, I've seen Jeff tackle some of the toughest issues in our government. When I was vice president, I first got to know him. We worked together and implement the Recovery Act of 2009, and later he was director of the Office of Management and Budget. He later led the daunting, complicated task of fixing healthcare.gov to get millions of Americans signed up for quality, affordable health care under the Affordable Care Act. And he led the National Economic Council. He shares my determination to build an economy that works for everyone, works from the bottom up and the middle out, and because when that happens, everybody does well. After the 2020 election, some of you know one of my closest friends in the world, Ted Kaufman, who was my administrative assistant, then took my place in the Senate. He helped Ted manage our transition into office in incredibly trying circumstances, and he did the work. Thanks to Jeff, we had a historically diverse team from day one, and we're ready to get to work. And he led our COVID response, a massive logistical undertaking of historical proportions, and so much more. When I ran for office, I promised to make the government work for the American people. And that's what Jeff does. It's a big task ahead. It's to implement the laws we've gotten passed efficiently and effectively and fairly, and let people know what we've already done. We've made a lot of progress, but we have to build on that project. And if anyone's going to be able to build on that job, it's Jeff. I wanted to thank Jeff and Mary. Mary, where's Mary? There you are, Mary. And their wonderful family. Well, the whole Zients family, stand up. Come on. Come on, Mom. You got us. What you have to know is, you know, when you're a family of someone running the White House, you got to be embarrassedly, I got embarrassed all the time and introduce you, but it's because we're proud of it, and thank you. I know this doesn't happen without the cooperation of the whole family. I mean, that's let me close with this. When you're president of the United States and you've got to make some pretty tough calls, and to make decisions you make are only as good as the team you put around you. And I've been extremely lucky and grateful to have such a team that was led by Ron. And I'm confident Jeff's going to continue Ron's example of smart and steady leadership on behalf of the American people. And now it's my great pleasure, and I don't get to do this often, to turn this over to Ron to publicly speak in front of everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, Ron Klain.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. No, thank you all. All right. Thank you all very much. I will try to keep this brief, but I cannot promise there will not be some tears. This is the best job I've ever had. And even though it's also the hardest job I've ever had, I will miss this job, our work, this mission, and most of all, this team every single day. But I take solace in knowing that I am leaving you in the best of hands. Jeff Zients will be the first White House Chief of Staff ever to have led 2 policy shops and have been head of OMB before he took over as White House Chief of Staff. At the darkest time of the Biden 2020 campaign, Jeff stepped up to help. He also ran the transition and picked, frankly, many of you here in this room. He ran the COVID response and led the team that has helped save hundreds of thousands of lives. Now, 2 weeks ago, I marked our anniversary here by buying everyone on the team cake. It was the second time in 2 years I had bought everyone cake, and people were very happy. But Jeff has pledged to buy everyone in the White House a free bagel every single day. so I will soon be forgotten. But what will not be forgotten is the work we have done together these 2 years. You've heard me say this before, but I never tire of saying it. Together, we passed the largest economic plan, the most significant one since FDR, while managing the largest land war in Europe since Truman. We passed the biggest infrastructure bill since Ike, passed more judges than any first-year president than JFK, and the second largest health care bill since LBJ, the most significant gun control bill since Bill Clinton was president, and the largest climate bill passed by any country at any time, anywhere on planet Earth, all while managing the worst public health crisis any president has faced since Woodrow Wilson, with the narrowest majority in Congress of any new Democratic president in 100 years. And that's not all. Student loan debt relief, record low black and brown unemployment, the PACT Act for veterans, a sweeping marijuana pardon, the Respect for Marriage Act, the most Americans ever with health care coverage, ending the longest war in American history. We've seen a dramatic drop in child poverty, the lowest unemployment rate in 50 years, the deficit cut more than any other president, and the record number of jobs created in this country in any 2-year period. Now that's not bad. And it is especially not bad. It is especially not bad for a president and a team that was written off for dead in the winter of 2019, and for dead again in the winter of 2020, and for dead again in the winter of 2021, and for dead again the first week of November 2022. Now, the president likes to say, it is never a good bet to bet against the American people, and he is right. But what I want to say today is, it is never a good bet to bet against Joe Biden and this team. Never, ever a good bet. Now, before I turn the podium over to Jeff, I want to say some thank yous. And I appreciate your indulgence because this will not be brief. I first want to thank the men and the women of the Secret Service, especially my detail led by Brian Perugini, for their exceptional professionalism and for all they've done to keep my family safe these past 2 years. The team in my office, Nihat and Madeline, and then Mariana, Nina, and Rima, they're brilliant and energetic. They're here every day before I get here. They're here every day after I leave. I can't thank them enough. And to Remy Yamamoto, I have to say, she has always had my back. She has always given good advice, even if she has failed to get me to purchase a new suit for television hits. To the Biden cabinet, the first in history to be evenly divided between men and women, the most diverse cabinet in history, and the most excellent cabinet in history. It has been an honor to call you colleagues. Each and every one of you has become a friend and a trusted partner. My joy today is in knowing that you have to say goodbye to me before I have had to say goodbye to any of you. To the senior staff and our department heads, in his inaugural address, the president said that this was a time for boldness in America. And your work has been the heart and the soul of that boldness. For 2 years, we've started each day with a Zoom call at 8:20, where I see the most talented and public-spirited and diverse and amazing people. On good and bad days, you come to this place, and you have delivered for the American people. You are my peers, my partners, my friends, my family away from my family. I will miss you more than I can say. And while there is a danger in naming names, I have to thank those people who are at the White House I have leaned on the very most. Susan Rice and Jake Sullivan, Brian Deese, John and Neera and Ashish and Gene Sperling, Louisa and Kate Bedingfield, Liz Sherwood, Corrine, Keisha, Julie and Lorraine, Anthony Bernal and Annie Tomasini, and of course, Bruce Reed, Anita Dunn, Mike Donnellan, my very first hire, Jen Dillon, and my brother in all things, Steve Ricchetti. I want to say this about this group. The record should show that everything we accomplished here these past 2 years is because of you, and everything we have screwed up is because of me. I just want to wrap up with 3 additional thank yous. To my family, starting with my mother, who, as the president mentioned, is too ill to be here today. I would not be here today without her and everything she has done for me. To my family and my kids, whose support and patience and love and understanding has kept me going these 2 years, for the engagement celebrations I missed, the birthdays I missed, the time I was not there to do various things, thank you. And I love you guys. And for the next 2 years, every day, it's my turn to walk the dog. To the Vice President, who's represented here by our outstanding second gentleman, Doug, it's been an honor to be her next-door neighbor in the West Wing these 2 years. I wish every American could get to know Vice President Harris as I have. I would say she has been the best vice president in history, but, you know. To the President and First Lady, Dr. Biden, you welcomed me into the Biden family 4 decades ago, and there's no higher honor I could have. It's more than I could possibly ask. Thank you so much for everything. As the President mentioned, I joined Joe Biden's Senate staff 36 years ago. And over those 36 years, I've picked up 3 kids, gotten 2 engaged, paid for 6 college and advanced degrees. And so I just want to say this one thing today. I learned everything I know about how to be a good father from Joe Biden. He is the best father I know and the best role model I know. And along the way, he's taught me a thing or two about politics and policy as well. Mr. President, a few minutes ago, I talked about your historic record. But as much as what you have done is historic, how you have done it is equally important. With honor and integrity, a devotion to working people that's unmatched, a determination to save our democracy and the soul of this nation. Being White House Chief of Staff is the honor of a lifetime. But being Joe Biden's White House Chief of Staff has given me a unique opportunity to serve a wise, compassionate, determined, and fearless president. And as I did in 1988 and 2008 and 2020, I look forward to being on your side when you run for president in 2024. All right, I will finally close with some words for the staff here. I'm often asked, what is the best souvenir I got in 2 years as White House Chief of Staff? And my answer is very simple. It's this rock, this plate in Civil Rock. It was given to me a year ago on one of our darker days by Louisa Terrell. And it's always symbolized to me the fact that this team has been rock solid in their support of our agenda, and the president, we've never wavered, we've been as solid as a rock. And so I ask you today to continue to play that role. I ask each and every one of you to continue your jobs as the rock of this White House, this administration, and this presidency. That's our mission. And with that, I will turn the podium over to the next White House Chief of Staff, Jeff Zients.
That's a tough act to follow in many ways. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, everyone, for being here. It's a huge honor to be back. I want to first thank you, Mr. President. It's been a privilege of a lifetime to have worked with you, for you, through some of the most difficult moments in our nation's history. Throughout it all, one of the many things I've greatly admired is your deep sense of purpose and duty to care for every single American. That example filters down to everyone who you work with, who works for you, and that's why we work as one team to ensure our democracy delivers for the people, a team that believes details and execution matter, a team that believes empathy and a moral compass matter, all of it in service to a responsive, results-oriented government that helps make people's lives better. So thank you for your leadership and your confidence in me. Second, I want to thank my friend Ron. As an American, I thank you for your tireless work during such a consequential period for our country. I know the sacrifices it required of you, Monica, and all of your family. You've left big, huge shoes to fill, big footsteps to follow, always headed in the direction of justice and opportunity and a more perfect union. Third, I want to thank my colleagues at the White House, the Cabinet, and across the administration. Governing is never easy, that's an understatement, but when you have the right team, you can accomplish anything. It all comes down to people, it all comes down to the team. And Mr. President, you have assembled a first-rate team filled with the best, brightest, and the most diverse public servants this country has to offer. I could not be more honored to join that team once again, so thank you. Finally, and most importantly, as the President often reminds us, family is the beginning, middle, and end. I thank my incredible wife and partner, Mary, our 4 kids, my parents who are both here, and my 3 sisters who are all here. There is no question I'd not be here without all of you. Mr. President, thank you again for your trust in me and in all of us here. We're honored to serve you and our country. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, folks. Head down to the dining room. Get something to eat. Thank you, thank you, thank you.